Let's learn how to use the sweep feature in Fusion 360. My name's Adam James, and be sure to like and subscribe for jumping right on in. So today I'm going to go through 3 different examples to show how you can incorporate the sweep feature into your modeling techniques within Fusion. For the first one, we're going to understand how we can use the sweep feature to create an extrusion. This is essentially just a simple spline that was created on a top plane, and then I created another plane along the path and swept a very simple circle feature. We'll also learn, in reference to that extrusion that we create, how to create an extruded cut along that same swept path. And then we'll end with something that's a little more complex. This is just a Raspberry Pi enclosure that I pulled off GrabCad. I'll leave the link down below in the description if you'd like to follow along. But you could assume that this is like a wire plug, and then we've got like maybe a rubber piece or grommet that needs to go on top of it. But this feature was created solely using a sweep feature, so it could save you time in the long run if you needed to model something like this in the future. So with that being said, let's get started. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and click New Design as always. We'll save this as sweep extrusion example. And for my case, I'm just going to say YouTube. And we'll go up here and left click on Create Sketch. And we're going to left click on this top plane here. Oh, left click. And we'll just create a fit point spline. So left click on fit point spline, left click on the origin, and we can just left click all around to give it some kind of direction that this sweep is going to follow. And left clicking all the way around. And then when you want to finish, you can left click on this green check mark and then hit escape. Great. And we will finish sketch. So we've got this unique looking geometry here. And now what we'd like to do is sweep a feature along this path. So this spline that we've just created is essentially a path that we will then reference. So in order to do that, we need a plane to reference. And if you show your planes, you'll notice that these planes, at least the top, the front, and the right planes that we have as our origin, aren't actually normal to the path that we have just created. And that's on purpose. So that gives us an opportunity to learn how we can actually create a plane normal to the path that we have created. So let's hide the origin. We can go up here and left click on Construct under Offset Plane. Don't select Offset Plane. But there is a selection here that says Plane Along Path. So we'll just left click that, and then the path that we want to reference. And then it gives us, you want to keep tangent plane selected, keep proportional selected, unless you want to create a physical distance. For this purpose, we'll just keep it at proportional. At distance, let's just make sure that this is 0. And then what that means is it's just going to go right to the starting point, and this is going to be normal to the beginning of our path, which is perfect. So we'll just select OK. There we go. So this is going to be our sketch plane. So we will left click on this plane and then left click Create Sketch. And then if we do Shift and middle click, we can kind of reorient the sketch just to make sure we're referencing the correct part, or correct, I guess, view of the sketch. And what we want to do is just do P for project. And we're just going to project the point and select OK. For the purpose of this example, we'll just do a circle. So we can do C for circle right at the origin. And if you can't select it because maybe you've rotated it so much, you can just do look at, go to your construction, select the plane, and then you'll look at, oh, for some reason it's not. Look at plane. Okay, there it goes. So look at, and then the plane, and you should be reoriented normal to the face of the sketch. C for circle, left click on that point, and we can just make it, and left click again, escape. D for dimension, we'll just make it maybe 20 millimeters. So I just left click on the circle to get there, 20, and then hit enter and escape. Shift middle click, and we can see, let's hide the plane. Over here in construction, we can just turn construction off. And we've got the circle. So if you can kind of visualize this, what you'll see is this circle will basically sweep along this entire path. Pretty neat. We'll left click on Finish Sketch, left click on the circle so it's shaded. So it's left click on the circle so it's shaded, and then we will not click Extrude. I almost clicked Extrude. We will click Sweep, and then it gives us a couple options here. So we want single path to be selected. We want the profile. We've already selected the profile, but if you had not selected the profile, you could then select your profile and it would say one selected. And then the path we want it to follow is the spline that we just created. And you know what? I'm actually glad this happened, because this gives us kind of a real world example of what might happen to you when you're trying to create a sweep along a path. This says it would intersect itself, and I am guessing it's probably right at this part. So this means that the diameter of the sketch that we just created is too large, and the curves that we're trying to make it follow are too narrow. So what this is basically going through in the back end of the software is going, this doesn't give us enough curvature in this turn here to actually create a 20 millimeter diameter circle out here. So a couple things we can do. Let's press cancel, left click on cancel. Because these aren't defined, we can just move them. So we didn't actually create any geometry, or excuse me, dimensions for these sketches. So what we can do is we can actually not even enter the sketch, and we can move these organically. And my guess is that just by making this curvature a little wider, it's going to give us enough space to create a 20 millimeter circle go through this path. So let's try it one more time. Left click on create. And if that doesn't work, what we can also do is downsize the size of this sweep or the feature that we're trying to create. Let's go back to create, select sweep. Profile again is that circle. The path that we want is this path. And great, see now it works. And let's go ahead and select OK. So this is our swept extrusion. So this is our first example. Looks really neat. You can even do some 3D sketching and pull these splines up if you'd like to. Let me know if you'd like to see a video on that later down the road. But pretty high level, easy method to create a complex geometry in one simple feature. So all is well there. What we will do is go back. Let's save this at the top left, click OK. So this is the one we want to copy. So left click, and then you can right click, left click on copy, left click on copy again, and it duplicates it down here. Great. Don't know why it's not letting me rename this. Cut, sweep cut example, YouTube. Okay. Kata, perfect. Okay, great. So now we've got our copied model. And we don't actually have to create a plane this time because we already have a flat face. So what we'll do is left click on this face, and then we can just left click on create sketch. And great. And then we can kind of shift middle click again to get a better view of what we are referencing. Let's do something here. Let's left click on sketch one, because then that allows us to see the swept profile that we were referencing earlier. So you can hit P on the keyboard for project, and then we can select this circle, left click on OK. And then we'll just use a spline again. I just like using splines because it kind of exemplifies how well Fusion does at sweeping kind of complex features. So we kind of do this, that, and maybe go all the way up here. And left clicking all the way around from the outside of the circle that we projected on one side, all the way to the outside of the circle on the other side. And then we'll hit escape. And then we can kind of select this feature. So kind of unique geometry there. Left click on finish sketch. And we'll go back up to create, and we'll go to sweep. And the profile we want to sweep is the one that we just sketched. So this top part, you can do the bottom part if you wanted to. Again, keeping single path selected, we're going to manually select path, and then the path that we sketched in this with the spline earlier. And there we go. And it automatically changes the operation down here to cut. If it does not, you can simply change that by selecting it kind of in this tree here. Once it is selected on cut, we can just select OK, and we're all set to go. So it kind of made this like, it almost looks like a cookie cutter, kind of cookie dough extrusion that's been laid flat on a counter or something. I don't know, it's just me using my imagination, I guess. But it looks really good. I mean, this is a complex feature that's sweeping along a complex spline path, and it turns out really good. All of these features are normal to each other along the path, and it goes all the way through. So that looks great. But what if we are in an assembly, in a realistic CAD environment where, say, I don't know why the Raspberry Pi isn't even shown in here, but you get to see the enclosure then. So this example, you know, usually this is like a USB or an Ethernet cord that gets plugged in here. So I just quickly mocked up like a little part that gets plugged in there. Actually, let's go into section analysis so you can actually see what's going on. There we go. So, you know, hypothetically, something would be plugged in there. And then maybe like this plug has like a rubber part or something that comes up and over to seal. Who knows? But this is my hypothetical kind of example, but I think it's a good opportunity for us to try modeling using assembly features and references to other parts. So I will open the sweep assembly YouTube example. Just open this. Again, if you'd like to follow along with this, you can check out Inkit Jangid. I apologize if I butchered your name, but he has a Raspberry Pi 4 case CAD model for free on GrabCad community. I uploaded the SolidWorks assembly files along with all the parts, and it worked just fine. So, okay, now that we're in the assembly, you can create a new component. I'll just name this sweep part and hit enter. And then I'm gonna hide this top one. So I'll left click on this top component here, and then it underlines it in the tree. Left click on the eye to hide it, and we're all good to go. Shift middle click, and we can left click on this inside wall here, because that's the sketch plane I want to reference, and then select sketch. Now I don't want this sketch to actually be oriented like this. I want to have it go this way. So what I'm going to do, just easy enough, is just hit left, and I'm oriented on the other side. So that's great. Now let's show the top. By removing the top and then selecting that inside, it gives me the option to select this inside face in Fusion. Fusion's a little particular in the ability to select faces that are hidden by other features, so that's exactly why I did that. Let's left click on the face again. Okay. I'm also going to hide this fan here as well. So this motor house, click, and okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a simple extrusion, say this part that is coming out from the enclosure itself. So this will be like our plug. So I'm just going to do project, and I'm going to use the features that already exist here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to left click on this. I'm going to left click on this. I'm going to left click on this, and then hit OK. And by doing that, it projects all the lines that already exist, so I don't have to go back and sketch these. Usually I would offset this by maybe like 0.1 millimeters so that there's no interference, right? But this isn't actually a functioning model, so this is just for sweeping references to understand how this feature works. So this should be just fine for the purpose of this example. With that selected, I'm going to hit extrude, and we're just going to drag this maybe out here. So that is like our wire. Now, with this, we want to make sure that we have activated this component. We are going to sketch on the outside of this surface. And I'm sketching on the outside of this surface so that we can project the sweep profile geometry that our feature is going to reference in the next step. So let's left click on this housing, left click on sketch. I'm going to hide the swept part, and we're going to do the same thing. So P for project, select this face, select this face, select this top part, and select this face, and select OK. And then it says the object is not visible. Well, that makes sense because we hid the part. So let's show the part again. And it looks like I forgot to project this face as well. So let's do P for project and then click OK. So great. That looks fine. Let's hide the body. So left click on the sweep part and then left click on this eye for the body. And then similar, and we'll click finish sketch. And similar to what we did in the examples, we want to create a plane to reference. So we'll do construct plane along path. And then very similarly, we're just going to, actually, let's do, I don't want it to reference this entire path. So I'm going to do cancel. Go back into the tree here. I'm going to right click and do edit sketch. And because this is all linked, I'm just going to use this trim geometry feature and then get rid of, actually, let's see if I can just left click and hit delete. Looks like I can do that. Yep. Finish sketch. Okay, great. Shift middle click to turn the model around. And then let's see if I can go back to construct plane along path. Great. Now we've got this kind of gap here, so it should, great. So it did exactly what we wanted it to do. We'll hit 0 because we want it at the top there. Awesome. And we will show the body again. Great. So what this allows us to do is references this path. This plane is now normal to the path that we want our sweep feature to follow. And we will left click on the plane, left click on create sketch. And then I'm also going to do P for project. We want to reference this wire or this feature as well. Left click on OK. And again, we'll just do spline. This could be whatever you want. Let's just say it's kind of this like rubber grommet or something that comes on here. Click on that and then escape. And that did not actually let us sketch that. Let's do P for project. Project this line as well. Click OK. Go back to fit point spline. Let's try this one more time. And left click and hit OK. Escape. Great, there it is. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit by left clicking and dragging. That looks good. Hit finish sketch. Great. So this is our feature. Of course, this is, I'm just going to bring this in a little bit because that's not realistic. This would interfere with that little hole, right? Okay, great. Now the goal here is to have this sweep along this entire path. So that's the overall goal. So let's see if it works this first time. Might have to go back and clean up this sketch. But let's see if it works. Left click on the sketch that we just created. We'll go to create, sweep, path. Yeah, I'm thinking we got to go back and clean that up a bit because it doesn't know. It's only able to follow this up until it gets to the point of the other one. So let's do cancel. Let's go back here, hide the body, and hide the other sketches and edit sketch 2. let's go clean this up. And we will just left click, delete, 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 left click, delete. And I think that should be all we need to do. And then we'll left click on finish sketch. Now it says plane 1 is not referencing what it needs to. It's okay, okay. There we go. All right, now let's show sketch 3. Left click on the shaded sketch that we just created. Let's go back to create. Let's go to sweep. Left click on path. And show the body. Perfect. Left click on OK. And there we go. That is our complex sweep referencing other geometrical features in an assembly. I know that was a little more complex than I usually do in a step-by-step tutorial, but I just wanted to show you that this can save you, instead of doing a simple extrusion, doing another extrusion, then creating a plane in the middle of both of these, and then doing like another sketch to create an extruded cut. You can do this using an extruded sweep feature in a complex assembly within Fusion 360. So pretty neat, but I'd be curious to see what you all use the sweep feature for in your assemblies. If you guys found any value in this tutorial, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks.